分权治好，释放刘晓波，释放刘晓波 ，Free 刘晓波 ，Free 刘晓波，释放诺贝尔和平奖得主，释放诺贝尔和平奖得主，08无罪，08无罪，自由无罪，自由无罪。
Beijing Municipal People's Procuratorate, Branch Number 1, Indictment, December 10, 2009. This prosecutor believes that defendant Liu Xiaobo disregarded state laws and by means of rumor mongering, slander, etc., incited subversion of state power and the overthrow of the socialist system, which is a major offense.
Everyone is being watched by the Chinese police, who occasionally bundle a protester into a waiting police car. This is justice Chinese style.
The defense counsel contend the articles written by Liu Xiaobo merely voice a certain caustic and intense criticisms which ought to fall under the category of free speech. And free speech is a basic human right enjoyed by citizens according to the Constitution of the People's Republic of China and the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Defendant Liu Xiaobo has committed the crime of inciting subversion of state power. He is sentenced to a fixed term imprisonment of 11 years and to 2 years deprivation of political rights.
I look forward to my country being a land of free expression, where all citizens' speeches are treated the same, where different values, ideas, beliefs, political views both compete with each other and coexist peacefully. Freedom of expression is the basis of human rights, the source of humanity and the mother of truth. To block freedom of speech is to trample on human rights, to strangle humanity and to suppress the truth. I do not feel guilty for the following my constitutional right to freedom of expression or fulfilling my social responsibility as a Chinese citizen. Even if accused of it, I have no complaints. Thank you.
I have seen further. It is by standing on the shoulders of giants. When we are able to look ahead today, it is because we are standing on the shoulders of the many men and women who over the years, often at great risk, have stood up for what they believed in and thus made our freedom possible. And therefore, while some are only looking to the commercial interests, some political leaders only focusing exclusively on their short-term national interests, and others remaining totally indifferent, the Norwegian Nobel Committee has once again chosen to support those who fight for us all. We congratulate Liu Xiaobo on the Nobel Peace Prize for 2010. His views will, in the long run, strengthen China. We extend to him and to China our very best wishes for the years ahead. Thank you very much. Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it has not been possible, as you know, for Liu Xiaobo or any of his close relatives to come to Oslo to receive the Nobel Medal and Diploma. At this stage in the ceremony, when we normally hand over the medal and the diploma, I place them in the empty chair held by Liu Xiaobo.
This symbolic winning of the prize was rare in Peace Prize history. We shall have more music. First, Chinese music. The violin player Lin Chang has lived in Boston, USA for many years. He has played with some of the world's most famous orchestras and performed alone and has won several important music prizes. He will first play Chinese traditional jasmine flowers.
Dr. Liu is expected to be indicted today.
Beijing Municipal People's Procuratorate Branch Number 1, Indictment, December 10, 2009. Defendant Liu Xiaobo, male, born December 28, 1955. Since 2005, the defendant Liu Xiaobo, due to his dissatisfaction with the state power and socialist system of our country's people's democratic dictatorship, has published inciting articles on foreign websites such as Observe China and the Chinese edition of the BBC. The rumors and slanders in the articles include, quote, "Since the Communist Party of China took power, generations of CPC dictators have cared most about their own power and least about human life," unquote. After collecting over 300 signatures, Liu Xiaobo distributed Charter 08 with the signatures via email to overseas websites and posted it on overseas websites, such as the websites of Democratic China and the Independent Chinese Pen Center. This prosecutor believes that defendant Liu Xiaobo disregarded state laws and by means of rumor mongering, slander, etc., incited subversion of state power and the overthrow of the socialist system, which is a major offense. Submitted to Beijing Municipal No. 1 Intermediate People's Court.
Reporting December 23, 2009, from Beijing. Journalists, foreign embassy officials, and Liu Xiaobo supporters all gathered outside the courthouse. There are also petitioners, ordinary people who have come to Beijing to air their grievances, milling around. They knew overseas reporters would be at the trial, and they did not want to miss the opportunity to publicize their own cases. Everyone was watched by the Chinese police, who occasionally bundled a protester into a waiting police car. This was justice Chinese style. Most people were banned from entering the court to hear the case for themselves. The trial is proceeding right now.
The defense counsel contend the articles written by Liu Xiaobo merely voice certain caustic and intense criticisms which ought to fall under the category of free speech. And free speech is a basic human right enjoyed by citizens according to the Constitution of the People's Republic of China and the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The values and ideas in Charter 08 are consistent with the ideas in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The People's Republic of China, as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, cannot but endorse the ideas in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and their government has signed the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights more than a decade ago. The viewpoint charged in the indictment, abolish the privilege of one-party monopoly on power and establish the Federal Republic of China under the framework of a democratic and constitutional government, was in fact initiated by Mao Zedong in his article, New Democratic Constitutional Government, in which he pointed out, just as everyone should share what food there is, so there should be no monopoly of power by a single party, group, or class. In a March 30th, 1946, Xinhua Daily editorial, President Liu Xiaobo wrote, "One-party rule is anti-democratic. The Communist Party does not engage in one-party dictatorship. Based on the principles of no crime can be committed and no punishment can be imposed without an existing penal law and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. One should not hold that Liu Xiaobo's actions constitute the crime of inciting subversion of state power."
Reporting December 25th, 2009, Beijing. We are waiting for the judge's verdict. Here's the judge now.
Defendant Liu Xiaobo has committed the crime of inciting subversion of state power. He is sentenced to a fixed term imprisonment of 11 years and to 2 years deprivation of political rights. The defendant may speak.
20 years on, the innocent souls of June 4th are yet to rest in peace, and I, who have been drawn into the path of dissidence by the passions of June 4th, after leaving the Qinchen prison in 1991, lost the right to speak openly in my own country. I could only do so through overseas media, and hence was monitored for many years, placed under surveillance, educated through labor, and now once again and thrust back into the dock by enemies in the regime. Ask me what has been my most fortunate experience of the past 2 decades, and I say, it was gaining the selfless love of my wife, Liu Xiao. Even if I am crushed into powder, I will embrace you with my ashes. Given your love, my sweetheart, I would face my forthcoming trial calmly, with no regrets about my choice, and looking forward to tomorrow optimistically. I hope to be the last victim of China's endless literary inquisition.
2 days after the Nobel Peace Prize was announced to be awarded to Liu Xiaobo, Liu Xia, his wife, who is currently in house arrest, sent this note after she was allowed to visit her husband in prison. She wrote that Liu cried and wanted to dedicate the Nobel Peace Award to the victims of Tiananmen for their non-violent spirit in giving their lives for peace, freedom, and democracy.